You know, it happens to the best of us. One minute you're an expert, you're doing your thing, and the next, bam, you've been handed this massive project that is way outside your job description. All of a sudden, you're the accidental project manager. But hey, don't panic. We've got you. Today, we're going to break down a practical survival guide to help you not just survive, but actually succeed in this new role. Okay, so let's put you in the hot seat. Your boss just walked away, leaving you with this huge new responsibility. What's your first move? What's your gut reaction? What are the very first questions that just pop into your head? Just hold that thought. We're about to walk through a real-world scenario to build out your game plan. So picture this. You're the head of human resources. For years, your company's been using this, let's be honest, this clunky old appraisal system. Now they're finally ready to move on. And guess what? The project to replace it? It's your baby now. This is going to be our running example. So, here are the hard facts of your mission, should you choose to accept it. You've got to replace that old Excel-based system with something modern, something reliable. You've got a pretty healthy budget, £500,000, and a firm deadline of just 9 months. And the goal? Crystal clear. It's got to be robust and fully auditable. Simple enough, right? Well, let's see about that. Okay, before we even think about charts and timelines, we have to talk about the trickiest part of any project: people. Seriously, the tech stuff, the code, the servers, that's often the easy part. The real challenge is getting human beings to actually embrace a new way of doing things, especially when you're the one leading the charge. And look, this is not a new problem. Not at all. Over 500 years ago, Machiavelli absolutely nailed it. He knew that when you try to change things, you create enemies out of the people who were happy with the old way. And you get at best kind of lukewarm support from the people who might benefit from the new way. This is the fundamental human dynamic you're going to be managing. So how do we deal with it? Well, a fantastic tool is a modern framework called a.bocktor. For an accidental project manager, this thing is a lifesaver. It gives you a clear step-by-step roadmap for the people side of your project. It says that for any change to stick, a person has to go through 5 stages. You start with building awareness of why the change is even happening. Then you have to create a genuine desire to be a part of it. Only then can you start giving people the knowledge and the ability to change. And finally, you have to reinforce it so everyone doesn't just slide back into old habits. Okay, we've talked about the art of managing people. Now let's get into the science, the tools, and the structures that are going to keep your project from turning into total chaos. This is all about bringing order to all that complexity. All right, back to our HR project. We're not building this software ourselves, which means we've got to pick a vendor. Now, instead of just going with a gut feeling or the slickest sales pitch, you need a structured way to decide. Creating a matrix with key criteria, like the ones you see here, takes all the guesswork out of a massive decision. You can weigh everything from their cost model to how flexible the system is, right down to the cold, hard probability that they can actually deliver in 9 months. Next up, and this is one of the most powerful and simple tools in your new toolkit, the RACI Matrix. I love this thing. It answers that critical question, who does what? For every single task, you define who is responsible for doing the work, who is accountable for its success. That's the person whose head is on the line, who needs to be consulted for their input, and who just needs to be kept informed. For an accidental PM, this little chart is your best friend. It stops those awful, I thought you were doing that conversations before they ever happen. All right, now we're getting to the absolute heart of planning, and a concept that trips up so many new project managers. How long is this really going to take? And how much is it really going to cost? The answer lies in understanding 2 very, very different ideas. Let's break this down because it's so important. Duration is just the calendar flipping by. It's the total time that passes, including weekends, holidays, nights, everything. But effort is the actual hands-on, heads-down work time that it takes to get something done. And trust me, they are not the same thing. Confusing these 2 is probably the #1 way projects go off the rails, both in time and in money. To make this crystal clear, let's use a quick analogy. Imagine your task is to read 100 books. Now, you can only read a few hours a day, a few days a week, and you take holidays, right? So by the time you finish that 100th book, 2 full years have passed on the calendar. That is the duration. But did you work on it for 2 years straight? No way, of course not. If we were to add up all the actual hours you spent reading and then convert them into standard 8-hour workdays, the total effort comes out to just 200 working days. That's actually less than a single business year. See the difference? And here's why this matters so much. It all comes back to the money. You don't get paid for the 2 years of duration, you get paid for the 200 days of effort. So at a daily rate of, say, £500, the budget for this task is £100,000. The takeaway here is absolutely crucial. You always budget based on effort, not duration. Getting this right is what separates a successful project from a total financial disaster.
So how in the world do you calculate that effort for a big, complex project? Well, you decompose it, and that's just a fancy word for breaking it down. You take the entire project and you slice it into major building blocks, like the ones you see here. These are the big picture categories of work that need to get done.
And now let's see how this actually works. You take one of those building blocks like IT infrastructure and you break it down even further into specific concrete tasks. It's by estimating the effort for these small, bite-sized tasks that you can build a realistic plan for the whole thing. This process turns a giant, scary project into a manageable to-do list, and for an accidental PM, that is everything. So we've covered the art of change and the science of structure. Now let's turn the focus back on you. Because as you get more involved in projects, you might just find that a certain role really clicks with your natural strengths and what you actually enjoy doing.
Let's do a little self-assessment. Think about it for a second. Are you the person who's always asking why? Do you want to dig deeper into what the real requirements are? Do you just love figuring out the core problem that needs to be solved before anyone even thinks about building something? If that sounds like you might have the mind of a business analyst.
Or maybe this is more your speed. Do you get a real sense of satisfaction from taking all those building blocks we talked about and organizing them into a coherent plan? Do you like driving things forward, knocking down obstacles, and making sure stuff gets delivered on time and on budget? That right there is the heart and soul of a project manager. Or maybe you find yourself constantly thinking back to the human side of things. Do you naturally wonder how this new system is going to affect Jane in accounting or Tom on the sales team? Are you genuinely empathetic to their worries and their questions? That's the superpower of a change manager. And finally, are you all about process, standards, and making sure things are done the right way every time? Do you love creating the templates and the reports and the governance that keep everything running smoothly across all the projects? Well, you might just be a natural fit for the PMO, the Project Management Office. And here's just a quick little summary to help you connect all those dots. Whether you're a puzzle-solving business analyst, an empathetic change manager, a results-driven project manager, or a structure-loving PMO specialist, there is a valuable, important role for you in the world of projects. Your accidental assignment? It could be the start of a fantastic new career path. And that brings us to our final thought. Look, being an accidental project manager, it isn't just about managing tasks and timelines. The real goal, as this quote so beautifully puts it, is to empower every single person on your team. Real success isn't about control. It's about unlocking the creativity and the intelligence of the people around you. So the real question to leave you with is, how will you empower your team?